Welcome back to another episode of Hobby Time in the Murder Basement, where we get to sit down and talk to Twitch streamer Teelsikire, my first friend I ever made on Twitch. He also runs the Brush Coven, the Discord, where the Murder Basement is located. We have an awesome chat. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for being here. Us just because, like, might as well get us into the zone. You know the drill. Teels, you've been here since the beginning. You know the drill.
What drill's that? I say, welcome to the murder basement.
Welcome to the murder basement. Man, I should be doing more like actual badass intros like that, but I always like forget, and I'm like halfway into the conversation, I'm like, did I even introduce them? I don't even remember anymore.
That's fair enough, man. If you want to go ahead and use my voice for any kind of voiceover, you've got permission from me, and it's on video now, so.
You've got a great voice, and you've got a great presence, so like I think that there is a future in voiceover for you.
You know what's funny? Like, everybody talks about how they don't like the sound of their own voice when they hear it played back to them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the sound of my own voice in my head. I like to hear it played back to me.
Like, oh no, I do talk with dignity. No, it's good.
Pretty much. Like in my own head, I have a very almost shrill kind of voice, and I'm like, God, people listen to this?
Really interesting.
Yeah.
In my head, my voice sounds clearer, and when I hear myself play back, I hear all my under enunciations and my mumbles, and that's the only thing that really bothers me. Because I've been in music, I've heard my voice for a good jillion years, and I'm used to that. But I'm always shocked. I'm like, how do people fucking listen to me? Jesus Christ! Like, I mumble a lot.
Yeah, I'm a big mumbler too.
It happens. Teels, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time, and man, I just like flat out appreciate you. I think we should start with our brief history of how the fuck we know each other, and it was one fated day in the middle of COVID-19, and I am just starting to stream like a lot. I think I just got affiliate on Twitch, and all of a sudden I'm painting Blissara, the Wondrous End from 3D Art Digital, and this name Teelsikire pops into my Twitch chat and is like, I'm painting the exact same thing right now, and I was just like, oh, I've never seen anybody paint this before. Like, very cool. When are you going to be doing this? Later tonight. And then I instantly hopped onto your stream when you were going, and I think we just became friends instantly. I think that there was like this weird little like magic of like, we found each other, here we are.
And it's so true. I feel exactly the same way. But it's one of those things, like, you know, your experiences that you have throughout life, it almost feels like they always lead to somewhere. And like, I honestly, if it was not for COVID, I probably never would have found your stream.
Right. Well, I mean, if it wasn't for COVID, I don't think I would be streaming right now. And it's now like my favorite thing I do during the week. I'm like, I have like 3 hours where I just get to paint and talk with people. And I wish I had more time to do it, because it is so stinking good. And meeting people like you is like the icing on the cake. It's like, oh, this is my people. They are here.
Right. And it's funny because, I mean, just the other day I had somebody come into my stream and was like, I'm new here. What are you doing? And, you know, I go into it, and what we do as part of our little community, and he was like, that is awesome. I didn't even know people streamed painting minis on Twitch. I was like, oh, have I got some people for you to meet.
Nice.
And
Nice.
it's just a beautiful thing. It's
Well,
just a beautiful thing.
it seems like you are, I'm trying to think of the right term, like, because calling you a gatekeeper is a dickhead thing to call anybody, but you are like the welcome committee. Like, you're like, no, this place is excellent. There are very cool people, and you, like, you aren't super excitable when you talk about it. You're like, well, welcome to the Brush Coven. I hope you enjoy your stay. Like, the way that you say everything is just so calm, and I'm just like, how does he do this? This is freaking magic.
Apparently, I've missed my calling for voiceovers.
I think you
And,
have. But I mean, like, that is like one of the cooler things of when people find your stream, and I've seen it happen time and time again, myself included. You know, it's just like it's like you're just like, oh, are you weary traveler? Are you tired? Do you need a place to kick your feet up? Come hang out by the fire. I got you. And you know, you paint, you sometimes don't paint, and you just talk minis. Like, you give so much information during your streams that, like, is, you know, invaluable to, like, to me. I've pulled some amazing ideas from you, but just like seeing you talk through people who are new to the hobby and getting them into it, like, you don't you don't ever put this weird stress or pressure. Like, I know I give too much information. I like vomit the soul on the people. I'm sure that they're like, woo, chill out. Like, you are like the best person to get someone in the hobby.
well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And it's kind of one of those things. Like, I didn't get back into painting minis because I had this driving desire to get back into painting minis. I was working with a wellness coach, and she's like, you really need to find something to help you deal with your stress and your blood pressure. I'm like, okay, well,
That's a real conversation.
I got something I could do with that. But I also knew that if I didn't have something structured, I would do it for a little while and then I would stop.
Sure.
So that's why I was like, all right, well, I've been planning to stream on Twitch for years and never actually gotten started with it. You know what? Let's go recreate the getting together with your buddies at somebody's house and painting minis and then playing games and stuff like that. Like, recreating that group, that feel of camaraderie and that feeling of home. That's really what I wanted. So you're saying that new people coming in are, you see that happening, that feeling being conveyed and being expressed, the welcoming feeling to adventure along into mini painting. Like, that's basically the goal we were shooting for the whole time.
Well, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. And you know, and you're so stinking humble about, you know, what you're doing there too. Like, I asked you super early on, like I want you to be on the show, and you were just like, dude, if there are other people more important than me, like, let them go first. And like and like I kind of forgot that I needed to circle around to you, because like I I don't know if I would have kept on doing the show without like your encouragement. Like, the things that you've done, like, is more than just mini painting help. Like, just like your positive influence has been something that, like, you know, I always think, you know, like people actually listen to this, and you were the first person that was like, no, I actually listen to this. Like, this is actually something that I like. Where like a lot of other people were kind of like, yeah, you know, you do a good thing. You're like, no, I have feedback for you. Like, you actually engaged with it, which was really special. And you know, I just thought that was like funny. Like, you were just like, no, if anybody more important needs to go first, you know, like.
Man, it's one of those things. I learned a long time ago that if you're not willing to be easygoing, you make your life hard for yourself. So, I knew it was going to happen when you asked me, and I was like, well, we'll let it happen when it's time.
When it's
and
time.
I'm good with that.
Perfect. Well,
But
you were coming up on a really big anniversary this weekend, aren't you?
I am. This will be my second year as an affiliate streaming on Twitch. So it's a big milestone.
It's
And
huge.
like we're getting really close to 1,000 followers. Like,
Nice.
we got lots of big things going on that we'll probably be hitting in like the next month. So
That's
maybe
so
next week.
exciting. Uh,
So like I'm
Maybe
stoked
this
about it.
weekend, man. Like we could do it right now.
It could very well be, man. It could very well be, especially since I've very much stuck to my schedule. Like, I stream Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. PST until I'm kind of done sometime around ish 11, because I can never actually say. But like, we're going to be starting at noon on Sunday for the stream anniversary. So like, we're going to be hitting up a whole new group of people, and I'm really excited about it.
Are you going to do an all-day sort of celebration, do you think, to like all the way until your spot that you normally do on Sunday?
So I'm doing it in a standard streamer kind of way, right? Like, where you set up, you're going to do this amount of time, and then you're going to leave it up to the community.
Mm-hmm.
Subs and donations and bits and all that kind of stuff will extend the time.
Sure.
So I've planned for 4 hours, but we could go potentially to 11 hours. That's my hard limit, though, because I got to go to bed to go to work the next day.
I wish that you weren't on the West Coast, or I wish I was on the West Coast, because the time difference between us, you're like, oh, it's 8:30. I'm getting ready to stream. I'm like, fuck, it is 10:30 at night. And like, I am already like starting to zone out because I ate too much candy, and I'm going into insulin shock, and I'm just like, like I'm going to miss it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's just kind of one of those hard things, right? Like,
Yeah.
for every person who streams, it's those decisions you got to make to try and get out there, put yourself out there, so that you can interact with as many people as possible. But I mean, because ideally, I wouldn't start my stream until probably like 9:30, and I'd be done at 10:30. But an hour-long stream, I'm not willing to do that. So like, my day on stream days are literally wake up, go to work, come home from work, cook dinner, eat dinner, exercise, feed dog, shower, stream.
Wow.
Like, there's no let's kick back and relax and spend some time. No, my kickback relax time is eating dinner. And then getting on stream and hanging out, and spending time with all the amazing people that come and stop by and spend some time. So like,
would you classify yourself a right brain person or a left brain person?
I would say that I'm very middle of the road.
Very middle
Like,
of the road. Because
yeah,
like having that regiment, that is not a right brain person thing, man.
right? Yeah, no, it's very much I feel that call for expressing myself through my miniature painting, my art, whatever makes me happy by doing what I want to do on something that I make that is beautiful. But at the same time, I'm very much a hardcore problem solver, break everything down to its smallest pieces, find out which one is actually causing the problem, reverse it backwards to see if that actually fixed the issue, and then when it does, awesome, or it doesn't, break it all back down again. Like, I very much follow that line in the middle where I live in both worlds, and I'm happy in both worlds.
Interesting. I mean, like it's like clockwork, and you can almost set your watch to you. I'm like, oh, it's for me, it's like it's 10:30 at night. Teels is going to be on, and like you always are. You get it going, unless if you're having some stupid ass internet problems, which seem to have worked themselves out recently, which is good, because that was that was pretty frustrating, and not what any streamer wants to have to deal with on any sort of frequency. So that's always great getting that going there. uh tell me about, so you used to paint minis and then you took like a hiatus and now you're back into it. Tell me about your original painting minis and what it was like in that time, because the technology has changed.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I like to think of it as the dark ages of mini painting. Moving that period of the dark ages when it was moving into the like that Renaissance period where things were starting to happen, but we were all living in the dark beforehand.
Sure.
And like I bought all the white dwarfs. Anytime there was a white dwarf that had a golden demon spread in it, I bought it because I wanted to see all of the awesome painted minis. But even then, like I was back in the day where like I'm totally name dropping some people that are old school, but Dr. Faust, like that guy, he was my inspiration from the internet. Like he was really the only guy that I could find that I could get like step by steps from. There was like pages upon pages. I had a giant like binder full of stuff that I printed out just so that I could go back and read through it and look at all the pictures without having to get on the internet and tie up the phone line because
Oh, we
nobody
were
can
on
call.
dial-up.
Nobody can call you when you're on the internet. So like that was really where I got started on trying to adventure out of my little zone. But
Sure.
when I got really into mini painting was my first games day. And I painted up a model. I was very proud of it. I did not go into it expecting to win anything. I didn't expect to make first cut. I just wanted to be able to say that I went to a games day. I put a mini in Golden Demon and I lost, but I was there.
Yeah.
Like I will forever be remembered, mostly to me, that I was there, but I was there. But after that first time, like I went and I entered my mini and I obviously didn't win, but like the next day after all of the games day stuff was done, I was there with a couple of buddies and we drove to one of the like the main games day store in like the DC Maryland area. I can't remember which right now. But it was like, hey, here's my mini that I entered. What can you tell me about it? Can you give me some feedback?
Oh,
And the guy at the
interesting.
shop was like, you need to start looking. Well, let's start with something a little more basic on getting your colors. Let's talk about layering. And I was like, what? Layering? And then I thought back to a tournament that I had been in down in when I was living down in Southern California, down in LA. They had a big 40K tournament that happened every year. And I went one year and there was this guy that had this corn marine and his legs were awesome because they went from red to like bright yellow. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. How'd you do that? And he was like, I just put the different colors in there. And I was like, I don't understand what the hell you're talking about, but okay, man, that is awesome. But when this guy at this Games Workshop store showed me, I was like, oh my God. And it was like, click. And I was like, okay, now I'm on a path to something that I can accomplish because now I've learned the secrets.
You have new tech. Been
Exactly.
upgraded.
Exactly. I have learned the special powers of mini painting from this man and understanding layering, and I am off to become the next Golden Demon winning painter from Southern California. It took a lot of years before that actually happened, but like that was the start. Like that, I still remember walking into that shop with my mini and going up to this guy and being like, hey, what do you think about this? Where do you think I should go? And he's like, you need to go here. And let me show you how to do it. And after that, it was pretty much done. And I kept playing the game. I still think 40K is awesome. And, I went to tournaments, played in a grand tournament down in LA, which was a fantastic time. But even then, it was all about painting miniatures. After that, that
Sure.
was the love of the hobby. The gaming was fun to go do with my friends outside of my smaller friend group, but like expanding out of that.
Yeah.
But the painting, that was my happy place.
So what took you away from it?
I think it was just life, basically, man. Like, I won my Golden Demon in LA, and I went home and I started on 2 new projects. Got to the point that I'd put down some sculpting, and then started going to school, started spending time trying to create a relationship out of somewhere, like all of
Sure.
the standard time to move on with your life stuff,
Sure.
and just kind of kept on moving on from there, and never really thought about it because I always had my stuff with me. Like I never stopped keeping everything with me, and that now that I look back on it, I think that's kind of weird, but also at the same time, it's kind of like kismet. Like, I knew that at some point I was going to want all this stuff around me.
Sure.
But I didn't know why, and I couldn't recognize when it was going to happen. But just almost instinctively, I'm like, yes, I'm going to haul around this like 4 giant tubs of Games Workshop stuff with me as I travel across the state, moving from place to place.
Right.
Why I'm doing it, I have no idea, because it makes no sense to do it. But
Right.
it's going to stay with me. And sure enough, it did. Still in the closet, but.
So do you think you were on like a bit of that, like after the afterglow sort of effect, and then like the Blue Monday sort of like all of your endorphins have let down, and now you're like, well, fuck, I gotta go back to work and I gotta do this thing, and like getting the momentum back because you'd had this like culmination, and you're like, bam, here it is, and you're like, well, what do I do after this? Was it something akin to that?
I totally think so, because I can pinpoint it down to Golden Demon win, trying to do something, not really being inspired, stopping. That's it.
Bounced off of it.
Yep. It was like, I got my trophy. Peace out.
I mean, if you're gonna end on a fucking high note, like that's the shit. Like if you came back the next year and you didn't get it, imagine like how frustrated you would be. You'd be like, nah.
Yeah, it's funny because like I passed up opportunities now that I look back that I wish I had taken. Like after I won my Golden Demon, we were walking out of the building, and a guy came up to me, gave me his card, and says, "I'm interested in having you freelance paint for us." And I was like, "All right, dude, whatever." Stuck the card in my pocket and walked away.
All right, James Workshop, if that's even your real name.
And like looking back on it now, I'm like, man, I really should have called him. And we want to like, and that's not even the worst one. The worst one was actually a grand tournament where one of the guys I was playing with absolutely destroyed me. Like everything went wrong. Like my rhino flipped into his squad of orcs with my captain, my possessed marines that rolled everything I ever wanted them to. They were perfect. And since it flipped into all of his models, everything in it died. So there went like over a third of my army in one single rocket from this guy. Oof. And I was like, oh, this is rough. But I blew it off. I was like, you know what? This is over. You've already won. Let's just have some fun. Right. So we just went on and had fun from there. And he was like, well, what are you interested in? And I'm like, I'm really looking to get into computers. He's like, awesome. I work for LucasArts. Here's my card. Give me a call. Never called him either.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
It's one of those things. That hindsight, it's so perfect. But, at the time it was like, that would be awesome. but I totally had that imposter syndrome. I'm like, I'm not good enough to work there, so
Sure.
there's not really a reason to call. And I think
Sure.
it happens to a lot of new painters, and I think it happens to just a lot of young people in general that gets stuck in their head. Like the world beats you down to think I'm not good enough to do this,
Yeah.
but it's really in your own head. You are good enough to do it, and there's no reason for you not to try.
Well, and like I think you and I are about the same age. So like if we're talking like that late 90s, early 2000s era, like they were starting to like it felt like the actual Gen Xers were so much more like you're fucking adults, you're doing the shit, you're taking like you're going to change the world, and like that bridge just right after that maybe infantilized us just a little bit and didn't give us like the tools. And like I definitely have always had imposter syndrome, and the only thing I've ever realized is that I am only who I am, and I'm only going to do the shit that I do, and like I should keep my eye open because I don't have many opportunities outside of where I'm at the moment. And it's so I've always just been like head on the swivel looking for the way out of my ditch because I didn't start on solid ground to begin with. But like it felt like that era, like all the kids were all like just kind of left to like figure it out. No, you're just going to go to school, and like after 4 years of college you're going to know exactly what it is. But we never were given the tools and the self-confidence to like run with those tools. Like we may have had them, and now at our age now we're like, oh yeah, we fucking had them the entire time, but it was never, nobody trusted us with them anyways. It's like you have the keys to the car but you can't fucking drive it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
They're sitting in your pocket, and you just refuse to pull them out.
Right. Right.
Like it's you're so spot on there. I completely agree.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of one of those things, though. Like I can't blame anybody because I
No.
know it's my own fault because it was my choice. In the end, it was still my choice.
Sure.
I had the opportunity. I knew better, and the reason I know now that I actually knew better is because I never felt that way about painting minis, which I think is so bizarre. I've always been confident about painting minis. I know
Really?
I'm not the best. I know I'm not the best, but I very much feel like I understand where I am in that world,
Sure.
and I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm not amazing. I'm not the best. I'm no Sergio Calvo. I'm no Angel Heraldez. Like I do not fly with those guys, but I'm still damn good.
No, I mean, like, so what makes those guys so much better than everybody else? Because if you ask me, I don't think they're that much better than everybody else. I think that they have a lot of hours under their belt. I think they understand their style like to the max. Like they have perfected their thing. And I'm not going to say that they're one trick ponies because that is wrong. I mean, they can do whatever they want to do, but they have focused on this little thing. And I think that you have focused on your own you have your own visual language. And when I watch you paint a model, I see thoughtfulness. I see an understanding of light and, like color theory in ways that are like really rare. Like you did this model, you've been doing infinity models on Twitch, and you did this gray model. And in its photos, it's gray. When you look at it, it is gray. But when you like zoom into it, it is fucking blue and orange. It is not gray. And like that is some magic shit that happens. So like to say that you aren't in that category of them, I think is false. I think that you are absolutely in there, just that the audience hasn't caught up to the idea that there can be more than I mean, like the Sam for the United States, it's, Vince Venturella and Sam Lenz. They are like, if you can be like these two motherfuckers, you are gold. But like, it, they are not the pinnacle either. Like, I think there's so much more there that we aren't paying attention to. And I think you're there. I think that you have always been there. And the fact that you can do something like paint a gray model that isn't gray, that you didn't use a drop of gray on, is magic. It's absolute magic.
Well, thank you for that. I have gotten to I love my neutrals phase of painting. So like that's a further justification for me that I'm doing it right. But
You're doing it right.
It's so for me, what the difference is the knowing versus the playing.
Okay.
So for me, I end up at things like that because I play with it. I don't know exactly where to put things yet. I don't know how these things are going to interact, but I like to play with things.
Mm.
So I just kind of go at it, and as things start to work, then I start to go that way. And when they don't, I shift and try and go and mess around and play with things. But you see Sergio Calvo dropping, his non-metallic metals down. Like he doesn't question any of it. He knows this dot has to go here to make this happen. He knows.
True.
And I think that's a lot of it comes from that time, that those numbers of models, that experience of, a lot of those guys came from real art backgrounds too.
Right.
Like my background's in sociology and computer science.
So, nailed it. You nailed it.
Like I found my calling early. So it's kind of one of those things. Like they've been in that world longer, and they understand the minutia that they've trained their eye to see already where things need to go.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like I'm not there yet. Like I know I can turn out a freaking awesome model if I put the 100 hours into it.
Sure.
Hands down, I can put out an amazing model. Am I up to competing with them in competitions? Probably not. Am I up to competing them with the populace? Quite possibly.
Sure.
But that's two totally different worlds. And I'm kind of okay being in the populist world. I don't have a problem with that. And in fact, I like that world until I'm going into a competition.
Sure.
When I know I'm going into a competition, I want the judges, I want the feedback, I want to know what it was that I missed for them on that day.
Sure.
And, it's just another way of doing things. But I think that's small detail there that they know exactly where they're going to place what they're going to place before they do it. I don't. And I think that's the difference that I think is between where I am and where I see they are.
Sure. But if it was your full-time job, you'd know.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I mean, like,
yeah. No.
If it was your full-time job, there would be no more playing. You would actually probably like be sick. You're like, oh my god, another reflection. We're doing another reflective like carapace. Really? This is what we're doing again? Okay. Like, I often wonder, and one of these days I hope to get a chance to talk to Sergio or Angel and be like, what is your passion level like? Like, you obviously like what you do, you obviously are doing it, but like, if I had to paint a Kickstarter of shit that I didn't care about, even though the models are cool and you get to like try some new things, like Angel is doing like 5 or 6 Seaman projects a year, or come on, or whatever their name is, like Cool Mini or not. I would hate that. I would hate doing that. And I know he's got a team. It's not just him anymore, but still, like, that is the not fun stuff. That's the starving artist type of work, where you're just like, I'm a fucking like, like conveyor belt going through, and their artistic expression is lost, even though craft and trade is being perfected. Like, are you spiritually fulfilled by the end of the day? That's the thing that I want to ask them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like everybody's different in how they interact with that. Like I'm with you. Like I couldn't do that. Like I could not do that. Like I would. It's a job at that point. I don't want a job. I
Right. You
want
got a
something
job.
to exactly like it. You know, it's kind of one of those things that like I sit back and I think, man, I could be a professional Twitch streamer and stay at home and just paint minis and stream all the time. And I'm like, no, I couldn't, because there's no way in hell that I would actually be able to accomplish doing that every single day, 8
Yeah.
hours a day or more, and and be able to stay sane. Like that would drive me up the wall.
I mean, look at Sam Lin's. Like right now, he is streaming 1 day a week, 1 day a week, and this is what he does for his job. You know, it's his Patreon, it's his commissions, and that's it. You know, and even he wants to not do commission painting anymore. Like if that's how you have to make your living, you know, like it's a hard world. And so he's branching out. His Patreon is his big thing, doing YouTube. And you know, I wish the best of luck for someone like him, because you know, he's so talented and again super humble, but he knows that he can bring it. And that's a really interesting place to be, because he knows he's at the top. He just doesn't want to be there alone. He wants to elevate everybody else, which is it's fucking exciting, because I don't think we'd have the same. I mean, I just assume that there's ego in other, you know, because like Italy takes the art so much more seriously. Here, I think we understand that this is always going to struggle to be looked at as art, as part of the culture. And so we're just happy that people are paying attention.
Yeah, yeah. I think, well, it's kind of one of those things, you know, and that very much goes back to my comment earlier about the 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 painting for the competition versus the painting for the public, right?
Sure.
Like I feel like very much that there's a lot of the European folks, they paint for the competition, even though the public loves what they do. Like make
Sure.
no mistake, there's a reason they're as popular as they are.
Right.
But
Right.
I feel like they paint for the competition, where I feel like a lot of uh, Western painters, like they paint more for the populace.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, because I'm not trying to offend anybody. Like this is just a different way of doing the same thing.
Sure.
But if by doing it different is what makes you happy, then you're doing it right.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
like I watched something that was oh man, what's his name? It's Banshee. Banshee? Yeah.
Angel Heraldez.
No, that's Angel, but I can't remember his last name.
Oh,
No, it's Heraldez.
Alfonso.
Alfonso.
Alfonso, son of a bitch.
Right? I mean, that took way too long to remember.
Yeah,
that.
we totally shit the bed on that one.
But I was watching something that he was doing, that he did, well, just very recently, an interview that he did. And it was very much the whole, his idea of what the fuck smoothness movement isn't actually about changing the way anybody looks at painting.
Mm-hmm.
It's about changing the understanding of what painting is on a personal level.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was always there, right? Every time he talks about any kind of thing when it comes to painting, it's, well, everything I've ever seen, it's always there. But he never said it quite explicitly the way he did in this interview, because he just kept on disagreeing with the person doing the interview, saying, no, I don't agree with that. No, I don't agree with that. And kept on going through and explaining what he was trying to get at. And it was like, okay, now I see what you're talking about. And he's right. Like, if you're not having fun painting, if you're not enjoying the process of your painting, why are you doing it?
Sure.
Enjoy it. If you want to keep painting, find what your joy in it is.
Yeah.
And I think that gets lost. And thank God we've got people like Alfonso over there, being like, no, no, you're
Right.
doing it wrong. Here's the
Well,
right way to do it. By
and
the way, there's no right way to do it.
and he totally demystifies the idea of what your eye sees at a distance versus the effort that goes into it when you're looking at it up close. Like that's one of those things that when I first saw the fuck smoothness hashtag and I was just looking at his stuff, I was like, this guy gets it. Like he gets the fact that like you could stop here and it would look totally fine. You can go this extra mile and it looks totally fine. But the fact of the matter is that like all of these steps and all these tools can get you to the place. So just because you don't think that you're there yet, it just means that you probably haven't done all the steps to get yourself there yet. And that's that like what just seeing that I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm much more comfortable with me. And like I really like watching someone like Shoshi paint. I think that her color choices are great. Her skin tones are fantastic. I love that you can see brushstrokes in there, and like it's not always the most perfect smooth blend because it gives you there like with her it's again a visual narrative. She's pointing you to the thing that she wants you to look at by like I am not doing these things as detailed because I want you to look here, and that is like so subconscious, and I wish more people were comfortable with that because I've gotten pushback. I've had people say, well, you've left these blends undone. I'm like, no, I haven't. Like I did them exactly the way I felt that they should be done. Could I have done them more? Yes, but I did not leave them that way. You are perceiving them that way.
Exactly. And I think that's probably the biggest thing on why it will not be viewed as a quote unquote art form,
Mm-hmm.
at least anytime soon, is that
Sure.
everybody thinks of it that way within our own community. And like there's a small group of people that, that are with that fuck smooth fuck smoothness movement that are like, no, you painting the way you want to paint and expressing what you want to express and doing what you want to do, that's what's important.
Right.
The creamiest, smoothest, crispest blends, if that's what you want, is fantastic. If that's not what you want, then don't do it. Do what makes you happy.
Right.
And like I'm totally there with it. Like I couldn't agree more with that outlook on mini painting.
It's and I think it comes through in the way that you paint, like pretty dramatically. The things that I like about your style is like you use color saturation as like a weapon. And so like certain things are very saturated. Like the guy that you won an award for the Infinity model that had like the brown like jacket, like that brown is super rich in color, but then you desaturated the legs right next to it, so it's like everything has their like place in there. And I was just like, this is really cool because so many people, they either are too desaturated or they're like me and it's just like gonzo color, like everything's probably a little too bright. And you managed to do both in really controlled manners that I find really fascinating. Like, do you know when you started developing that sort of technique?
No, because until you pointed it out, I never actually thought of myself doing that. But as
So
I'm sitting here looking at the models in front of me, I'm like, yep, did it on
yep.
that one, did it on that one, did it on that one, shit, did it on that one. Like like I never thought about it, but you're totally right. And like that's playing in that desaturated neutrals area has been growing. Like I've been doing whole models that way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like until you just said it, I never realized it. But that is very much something that I do on all of my minis. I definitely pull from that very strong saturated colors to playing in that very, very desaturated zone.
So you and I have this very weird history where one day I gave you a tarot reading and I don't even remember what I said, but I remember you talking about it later on stream, and you were like, whatever you said fucked me up. Like, it broke my brain on how I paint, and it's one of the best compliments I've ever had on something that I just kind of do for fun, but also it's like terrifying because like I've never actually had anybody take it super seriously. And so like having that weird connection where, looking at your paint style and having this thing like play into that was a really funny thing, because I think I subconsciously understood more about your painting than you did when I first started watching you.
And you probably still do. But to get back to the tarot reading, it was very specific to me because you asked me to give you something to focus on.
Right.
And I wanted to focus on where I was going to take my mini painting. And that was what I want you to focus on. And you came back with, I don't even remember what the cards were, but basically it came back to, your reading was, you're going to accomplish all of the goals you want to accomplish, but the road is going to be hard and you're going to need to push through it, is basically what it came down to. And I was like, okay. I kind of feel like I'm already in that zone of, I know what goals I want to achieve. And I'm in that place of starting my struggles. Like, holy shit. Like, oh my God, how did this happen? That this guy, like 1,000 miles away, turned over some cards, and all of a sudden I've had this epiphany of, holy shit,
I'm in the middle of it.
This is my journey. Where's the green numbers and letters going on here? The matrix is flowing around me somehow. So, it was very one of those things that was like, okay, I get what you're saying. And like, I know it's just for fun. And, it's very much one of those things, which is this the chicken before the egg, or was it the egg before the chicken kind of thing? Like,
Sure.
It's very much I feel like it was very much a self-fulfilling kind of prophecy.
Sure.
Like, you said it and then I created it and made it happen. But that doesn't discount what it was.
Right.
It was a direction. It was an understanding of looking at what I'm doing and where I'm going and understanding that that's right, and then trying to push through and accomplish, because according to the cards, I know I'm going to get there.
You will. You absolutely will.
It's very much that Harry Potter thing. Like, how did you cast the Patronus, Harry? Because I already did it. It's very much that the same thing. Like, it's like, I don't know that I'm going to make it, but at the same time, like, the cards told me I'm going to make it, so I'm going to make it. And I'm going to make it happen now. Like, it's crazy. It's mind bending, and I love it. I love everything like that. So,
well, I think that you have goals of what you want to achieve. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't be doing content creation like Twitch. Like, doing a Twitch thing is not something that you passively do with a regimented structure. So there has to be an end goal for you at this, regardless if you know what that is or you can vocalize it. Your brain has already set out a vision of what you want to be. And that is something that I find really interesting when I'm talking to content creators who I don't think have any idea. And because they're so like scattered and they're doing things and they're like hoping that things are going to explode. You're extremely calculated. and you aren't fucking around. And so, like, I know that there is whatever it is. I know you have it. We just got to figure out what that thing is.
Well, see, that's the best part, is I already know.
Oh,
I already know. Like, I want to create that space of community for anybody who wants to be part of the mini painting world. New, the best, doesn't matter. Anywhere along the spectrum. If you have won every single award possible, or you are picking up a brush for the first time, I want you to be a part of my community so that we can all thrive and inspire each other to be better every single day. That's what I want from all of my content creation. And eventually we'll probably get into other things, YouTube and whatnot. But
Sure.
for now, this is what works for me in my life to try and achieve that goal. That's what I want. I want to, I very lovingly call our community the Brush Coven, and I love it. But I want it to be open and available for everybody. I want everybody to be a part of it.
I think that you already are there, sir. As the Brush Coven, for me, like I was just starting out Twitch. I had just started, like my own Discord, and you're like, are you doing any of these things yet? And I was like, kind of, but like I don't really know what the fuck I'm doing, and I don't really have the time to juggle all of them. You're like, how about you just park the murder basement in the Brush Coven? And I get there, and there is a ton of other streamers. Like you have a little mecca, and not to throw shade at all the other, like Mike Disney has one, Zambies has one, Brush for Hire has one, Captain Madlove has one, that are all like communities, but they're all kind of focused around their thing. Like the Brush Coven isn't focused around Teels. Teels is a part of the Brush Coven, but it's more of like a collective, a co-op, because you have, Berserk Works is there, and you have does all the really cool Hyperphase is hanging out there.
Hyperface Studios comes and
Yeah,
hangs out. But
I mean, like you have a little mecca going on there where there isn't there. And to say ego about the other people, I don't want to be misconstrued as being like, you guys are fucking egomaniacs. No. Like, I mean, we're all kind of egomaniacs because we all want to be the center of attention. But like, you have created that space. It already exists. The Brush Coven is that.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. Like I couldn't be happier with the journey that I ended up starting 2 years ago. Like it is everything that I wanted to be, and it's growing and becoming better all of the time. So like it's just one of those things. At some point, I just want it to be huge. Like I don't want anything out of it. I just want it to be huge because I want everybody else to be able to come in and participate and enjoy each other and what we can all bring to the betterment of the mini painting community. That's what I want. And I don't think you're wrong. I think you're right. I think you're there. Like everybody's got a Discord. It's totally true. Every single streamer out there has their own Discord, and we're all a part of dozens, if not, I had somebody try and join yesterday that they had to leave other Discords to join the Brush Coven because they they had maxed out the amount of Discords they could be in, which was 100. I don't even know how you keep track of 100 Discords, but
yeah,
that's beside the point. The point is I want this community I want it to be worldwide. I want it to include everybody. I want to see all of the amazing things from your very first painting to your 12,000th painting. I want everybody to be able to go to that place and be like, wow, that's awesome. Hey, so-and-so, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, this is how I did it. Come to this place and I'll show you. That's what I'm talking about. Like I don't want it to be about me. I want to be a part of it. I want to, nurture it and watch it grow. But in the end, I just want it to, encompass everything. Everybody should be a part of a community like that because I want to be a part of a community like that. And maybe that's a little self-centered to think that way, that everybody wants everything I want, but I don't know. That's how it is, and I'm not going to change my mind.
Dude, I mean, I think that what you're doing is really cool, and like for me, like I love. So I have this like very romantic idea of what religion is, and but I've always been more on the darker, edgier side of things. And so when you were like the Brush Coven, I was like, okay, all right, let's see what we're getting into here. And then like I walked in and like, have you ever been in an area that was just kind of too perfect? Like I was like waiting for the other shoe to drop and be like, and I eat babies. Like I was, because I was starting to feel really um vulnerable, because like I was like, I think I've found the people that I want to hang out with online. I think I found the people that I want to help support in the Brush Coven. And and that was a really special thing to stumble in so quickly, and it happened just because you and I were painting the same model in May the Bust.
Right. It was just, yeah. I'm super happy that the universe pulled us together, and we've had the opportunity to work together to, help expand and create this, because, like I said, I want to be there to nurture it, but it's not just all about me. And
No.
like, I know that was, kind of a jumping off point for you. Like, I feel like after you joined the Brush Coven, you started expanding out into things well beyond what was just in the Brush Coven, but you were also bringing things back into it. And
Yeah.
that's the key for me. Like, there's so much amazing stuff out there. Like, I don't want it to be like, this is my place, only look at my stuff. That's not what this is about. I want everybody to everybody that's out there looking and finding all of this amazing stuff. I want everybody to see it. I want everybody to share it,
Sure.
because
Sure.
that's the world that I want to live in, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just not just mini painting, the grander scheme of the world that I want to live in. I want to live in the world where everybody is out supporting each other. Everybody is sharing the knowledge that they have or that they found, and then finding the person who created that and having them come in and share the knowledge. Like, knowledge is everything to me. But the way to get it the best way is to share it and to work with the other people that are teaching it and learning from it, and then going and teaching yourself because you've made a slight change on it, and now you have your way of doing it.
Right.
Like, everybody's got a way to learn, everybody's got a way to teach.
Right.
And if we can all accept that and then find the people that teach us the way we learn, like, I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that.
No. Well, and especially right now when like cons were that, like Adepticon was that, you go, you take these classes, you learn, you hang out, you paint in the rooms with the people that you've been watching online, you've done all those things. It seems right now like something like Brush Coven is more important than it's ever been. And it's this weird, to say it's untapped is wrong, because I had to finally shut off notifications on it, because I was at the point where I was like getting so many, like, these new people joined, these new people are commenting on these things, and I was just like, this is so cool. But I actually now have to like shut off notifications to only when somebody says my name, because I'm at that point now where I'm like, it's hopping. There are times when that thing is just lit up and I'm like, that is so exciting.
Yeah, I'm super stoked about it. It's, like I said, man, like, this whole adventure over the last 2 years has been absolutely everything that I wanted it to be. And I
Dude,
couldn't be happier with it.
I love it. I love it. I love hearing that. So like you recently just did paint along, of which I totally shit the bed, and like I got like a base coat on it, and I got thinking about the way I wanted to finish the model, but didn't actually finish the model, of which I will get it to you before, what we said, December 5th is the date, I think.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. There it
We
is.
can go with that.
I will do it by then. But what sort of things are you gonna, do to help grow it? Have you thought more about like the more community aspects of the Brush Coven?
Well, I mean, obviously, paint alongs are kind of one of those things. We did one years ago. Myself, JT, Stark04, and Big Papa Minis, who unfortunately doesn't stream anymore, but was a big part of the key group of people that I had when I was just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
We did a paint along years ago, had a great time with it, and I was like, you know what, it's time to do another one. So we did one. I put it out there. The whole community decided on what we were going to paint. Like the first one we did, the three of us decided what we were going to paint, and then put it out to the community that if you want to paint this with us, this is where you come along.
Yeah.
And it totally worked. We did it. We had a couple of other folks that came along and painted along with us, but in the end, what we really did was we all three painted it. Some of us took a month and a half, some of us took 3 days.
Right.
And it was just kind of us showing off our thing. And it was cool to see at the end that the three of us that did it. This time I really wanted to change that a little bit, where I wanted it to be the community that decided what was painted, because I'm happy to paint just about anything with the community.
Right.
So we let the community decide. Obviously I made the initial list because we can't put every miniature out there on the list to try and paint from, because we're never narrowing that list down.
Yeah.
So I curated a list from a bunch of different manufacturers and was like, okay, guys, go ahead and vote. And then took the best from that vote, and we did another vote, and it ended up with, I don't even know how to say the name.
Penesthesia?
Yeah.
Penicillin?
I have no idea, but it's an Infinity model that everybody calls Penny, and had a great time painting her. And, I'm done with mine, but there's other people still doing theirs. And
here's mine. It's horrible. It's like so bad right now.
Well, it is what it is. It's in its current state, but it's not done yet.
It's in flux. Yes.
Yeah. But it's kind of one of those things. Like, I had a lot of fun with it. We'll definitely do it again. But I think what I want to do for the next big thing that I think we're going to do as a community is I kind of want to pull the best out of everybody and do a big end of year show off, where I'm just going to stream however long it takes. So I don't know what day it's going to be yet, because, well, we're looking at either end of December or beginning of January. So who knows what I'm going to have available then. Right. But like, my big plan is to open up a section in the Discord that's just, I want to see what you are most proud of from the last year. And I want that from as many people as are willing to put it up there. And I want to stream it. I want to get in stream, and I will pull up every single one of them. And I want to have comments from the folks if they want to leave comments in the Discord about it, so that we can share their stories of how they decided to do what they did, what their inspiration was, all of those things that lead into making that the model that you are most proud of for that last year. And I think that, I don't know, it's just kind of one of those things that's something that I want to do. So, like I said before, I'm just going to keep on doing things that I think I want to do, and putting it out there for everybody else to participate, make decisions on, and then join in.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, I think you should always trust your instincts. Like, I think that you're at that point where I think you're right. Everything that you've ever said has always been right. Anything that you've looked at models, even if you don't follow the advice yourself, you can look at a model and say, this is how you make it a golden demon. This is how you make it a crystal brush. This is how you figure out how to get past your first little plateau of, like, well, you've now done your layers and your wash and your highlights. This is your next step. Like, you can look at it and break it down in a way that isn't like a fuck you, I can't believe you just said that to me. You break it down in a way that's like, it's so supportive and great. Like, I love, like, whenever I get a chance to like post something in the work in progress and, and be like, hey, look at this, like tell me what you think of it. Whenever I can actually, sit down and watch a stream, like that shit makes me feel so good, because it's like when you are in a band and you show somebody the song that you've worked hard on, and they say, oh yeah, that's fine. And you know that they didn't look at it, or they didn't listen to it, they didn't hear it. Like, you are doing that with your eyes. Like, you're listening to everybody's song like it's the most important thing in the world. And that's fucking special. It's straight up special, man.
Well, I appreciate that feedback, because again, I'm going to toot my own horn there and say you're right. That is exactly how I do it.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I talk about inspiration all the time. Finding inspiration. Being your own inspiration, looking what others are doing and finding the inspiration in it without comparing yourself to it. Because in the end, if you're comparing yourself to it, that's not inspiration. You're because you're no longer inspired to achieve it. You're beaten down by it, and we don't need any of that. You got to put yourself in the mindset of is what I'm doing when I'm looking at this pushing me to create in a different way, or is it pushing me to step back away from it because I can't achieve that, or I don't think I can achieve that? And I'm not interested in doing anything like that. Like, I want people to know that everything that they see out there, you can accomplish with the right work. But the better question is do you want to accomplish that, or do you want to accomplish what's you? And I think that's the harder question to answer.
Well, and I don't know if everybody is really comfortable with asking themselves those questions. Like, that's hard questions, and sometimes it comes at a difficult answer, and nobody wants to admit that they don't have the skills to do something. Nobody wants to admit that they are being beaten by a piece of plastic or resin or metal models, but I've never seen that in you. Like, I've never seen you have that, like, like, I think this thing's kicking your ass and you maybe need to dial it back. You never come at it from that angle, which is like, I think kind of, it's not really my default. I sometimes look at things and be like, okay, let's take a step backwards. Like, you always are taking a step forwards when you're giving critique and guidance. It's really interesting, and I don't know where that was developed and how that works, because yeah, I don't have that skill yet. Like, I can talk with people like through it, but like, I can't just like talk to chat off of a photo and be like, and this is how you do it. You do that like beautifully. Like, a one-on-one maybe, but like, you do it without context, and it's really interesting.
That is interesting. I've never actually thought about it that way.
Because
I never actually thought about where it came from.
it's all in chat. I mean, like, that's the weird thing about Twitch, and I think something that, like, people who are thinking about getting into Twitch, and I sometimes tell people, like, if you don't mind talking to the void, like, Twitch is for you, because I don't think people understands that even when you have chat going on, you are having a one-sided conversation the entire time, and somehow it never feels like you are having a one-sided conversation. It feels like the other person's on the other side of it, and that's really unique. I don't know anybody else who can do it. It's solely, I only see it in your streams.
It's I don't know. Maybe it's the extra voices in my head that I'm talking to that comes across there. Because I understand what you're saying. Like, when I start to have conversations with the void, as you say, and it's totally true. Like, I don't go into it as I'm trying to talk about what I'm doing so that people are interested enough to stay, so that they'll start chatting, so that I can start talking to them. Very much when I get to that point where there's nobody else talking and I'm just yammering on, it's very much like I feel like I'm having a two-sided conversation, but it's just with myself. Like I'm just going, I'm asking the questions and I'm answering them all at the same time. And
well, I mean, I think that this goes back to the idea of, so like, again, I'm going to brush up against the idea of, religion and magic, and you call this thing the Brush Coven. And I think that the actual like spiritual guidance and, interconnectivity between us human beings is this intuitiveness to like read what the other person's is into. And I think that you are like an adept. I think that you have a gift that not everybody has. Like, I think that that is something that, whether or not you consciously set out to this, and we've had conversations off the record about like how you were raised around these things. I think that you intuitively knew that, the magic of will is going to be a huge part of who you are and how you help people. And I think especially in like times like 2020, like dilemma is like super important. The magic of will and design and intent. Like, intent is huge, and this is something that you have set out, whether you knew it or not. You were walking the path of that. And so for me, like, being attuned to those things and seeing that you had no idea that you were doing it made it even more real and more special. So, I mean, I think that I'm excited to see what you do. I'm excited to see who rallies, and I'm excited to see how far we can push that gift, because it truly is a gift that you're giving to other people. Because I don't know anybody else who's taking the time. I just don't. Like, you will sacrifice your entire stream to help someone like critique their second model they've ever painted. And I don't know anybody else who would do that. And I've watched you do it. I've legit like watched you do that. Like, we looked at 3 models tonight and we stream raiders, which in between all this like
right?
really intense thing, we're gonna let these little pixel guys throw rocks at shit. But like, you've done that. You've sacrificed yourself for the betterment of everybody else, and that is amazing.
Well, thank you for that. I do, and I got to agree. Like it's very much part of who I am and what my content is about. Like it's it goes back to that what we were talking before. It's not about me. Like me succeeding on Twitch is not what I'm trying to do. Like that's not what it's about. Me succeeding in sharing my knowledge with other people and helping them grow, that's what it's about for me. And you're totally right. And honestly, my favorite streams are those streams.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like the streams where I'm like, oh, look at this. I finished 2 models in one stream, which for anybody who's ever watched my stream knows that is mind-boggling rare.
Yeah.
uh, Finishing 2 models in a month and a half, that's a little bit closer to right.
Right.
But like, absolutely, my favorite streams are hands down the ones where it's like somebody comes in and is like, hey, I just did this. Can we talk about it? And it's their first model or it's their second model. And, it's crazy. Like, everybody talks about looking at the masters for inspiration. And I'm like, I don't really get it. Like, I want to aspire to paint like them, to understand their process and be able to replicate it so that I now have that in my toolbox. But I don't find what they do inspiring.
Yeah.
What I find inspiring are the people who put out their first model that's been painted with their craft paint, and they are in love with it, and they have made color choices that nobody else would make. Nobody else in the mini painting community. Those
Right.
brand new painters that are not painting to a Games Workshop box, are not painting to any idea of what it's supposed to be or how you're supposed to paint.
Yeah.
Those are absolutely the most inspirational people in the mini painting community, as far as I'm concerned.
Can we take a second to acknowledge Rocket Pepper and her amazing conversions and paint colors? Like anytime that you were saying that, all I could think of was the couple of times she's like, "This is like my third model," and I'm like, "Fuck you." Like, they're so good and they're so special, and she was just like, "I just don't know if I'm doing it right," and you instantly saw it too. Like, and you could see the
Yeah.
look in your eye because, you know, we were watching you on camera, and you're just like, "This is amazing." And the way that you interacted with her, chef's kiss. Just like you got it. And that is when I really understood like your ability to see how good, like the good and the inspiration in everything. Like that was so cool.
Yeah, and I will completely acknowledge Rocket Pepper too. She's amazing. She's super talented at so many things, but I mean, she went into it with no aspirations and no intentions, and just created whatever popped into her head. I mean, she had an orc chasing another orc with the sandal she sculpted into its hand. Like, I mean, who does that? Nobody does that.
Nobody
That's the
does that.
point. And that's the best, most inspiring things, is watching new painters that you you got to be there to let them have that freedom. You got to let them know that you don't have to paint like Games Workshop tells you. You don't have to paint like Book A tells you.
Right.
You can paint however you want to paint. It doesn't matter what anybody else says,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
painting is for you. If somebody else likes it, fantastic. That
Yeah.
is awesome. But you have to like it. You have to enjoy the journey. So find your ways to do that. And I think that for most people, that first step, that if I could give every first painter, every new painter, one bit of advice, one bit of way to look at everything that the mini painting community is, fuck all of it. Do what you want to do, because I guarantee you, whatever you do will inspire somebody else.
Sure.
Because I know it's going to inspire me.
Dude.
Because once you take away all of the stuff around it, once you strip it down to that fuck smoothness idea, that your painting is all about accomplishing what you want to accomplish and enjoy the journey there. If you're not enjoying the journey, then you're not doing it right.
I mean, 100%. Everything that Rocket Pepper did is closer to art than anything I've ever done. Period. Like, if you really want to get down to it, she created and told a story. And yeah, she used other people's stuff, but there was an orc with a mop on its head that was like wearing a pink dress, of which
Yep.
I've never done anything like that. It's pure creation, and it's innocent, and it's beautiful, and anybody can look at it and giggle at it. You know, like, it's the closest thing to art I've seen outside of, you know, like Chris Surrey telling a huge narrative with one of his dioramas. And it came on like her third model.
Right? Right?
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
It's one of those things that once, and I feel like for me, it was once I realized that I really started to appreciate the things that I was doing and I was viewing and I was seeing all around me. Like, not just in miniatures, but just in general. Once I got to that understanding, that innocence of creation, where you have nothing holding you back because you have no expectations of yourself and you don't care about anybody's expectations of you, that's truly where you find the greatest things in your life. And that may not be for everybody, but for me, once it just keeps finding, for me, that is more and more true every single day that I'm on this planet.
I'm with you, man. 100%. 100% with you. And I mean, I think that's like a really beautiful, inspiring place to wrap up our conversation here in the murder basement. Teal, I need to just like straight up tell you, thank you so much for being you. And I have a massive amount of love in my heart for you because you are what I inspire to be, and you inspire me, and I watch you inspire people. And while I know that you have boosted my ego plenty, which I appreciate a lot, um, I couldn't be who I am without you. Period.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I do very, very much appreciate that sentiment, and I do want to say that you are quite welcome. I was very, very excited when you invited me to be on the murder basement or in the murder basement. I'm not really sure how that works, but that's really beside the point. What I'm really getting at here is that thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of this amazing content that you are creating right now, because I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I'll say it till the day I die. You are creating content that nobody else is doing out there, and actually finding the heart and soul of the mini painters that you are interviewing. So thank you very much for taking the time and having the courage to do that.
Well, I'm glad that I got good company because these journeys are not super fun to do alone, and while we're both trailblazing, we can help each other up to Mordor. We'll do this. Teals, is there anything that you want to promote before we head off, or
um Not really. I think just come and hang out. Anybody who's sitting here watching this, come and spend some time with the Brush Coven,
hang out in
because
the Brush Coven?
we'd love to see you. We'd love to see what you're doing. We'd love to be inspired by the works you're creating, and yeah, let's grow this community, folks.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Thank you for making it through another episode of Hobby Time in the Murder Basement. I really appreciate your support. If you'd like to continue the support in other ways, I do have a Patreon. The link is down below. Proceeds from that will go to pay for new equipment, subscription fees if I need it, and graphic design stuff. I'd like to help build this channel. So any of your support is, while never necessary, is always appreciated. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you want to see more hobby stuff, you can head on over to Twitch. I generally stream on Sundays at noon. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.